Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John, and today I have got some more book mail for you. So the other day I did a book mail video and I got finished with it, and then I got looking at my books and I'm thinking, oh, I've got all this other book mail that I forgot completely about, and that's no slight on anybody. I just forgot about it because I've got my books are kind of disorganized right now, at least the ones I've just recently received. So that being said, I've got like another 7, maybe 8 books, maybe 9 books here. And so that being said, in fact, one of them I just got in the mail today, and I'll tell you a little bit about that because I'm a little bit pissed off at the post office for this one, okay? Anyway, let's go ahead and get underway. So the first one I won in a giveaway on Instagram. The site or the Instagram user Into the Hollow did a giveaway, one of those where you got to like or subscribe to or follow them and then tag some people or whatever. But anyway, I won the book from Ethan Blake, Into the Hollow. All right. And let's see, the synopsis on this is, it's the night before Halloween in the year 2020, and all hell is breaking loose. After hearing a ghostly tale of witches, cults, and curses from his father, Jack and his horror fanatic friends ventured deep into the haunted hollow in search of paranormal evidence. With high school graduation and the pressures of college looming just around the corner, the teens are determined to escape the everyday monstrosities of society and have the scariest All Hallows Eve of their lives. The veil is thin, the moon is full, and there's no telling what wicked wonders await them. And that is Dark Hollow, or Into the Hollow, excuse me. And I appreciate that I won this, so I'm very happy about that. Okay, next up. This is not book mail. This is one that I bought at Barnes & Noble the other day. They actually are starting to have a fairly decent horror section instead of just having the Stephen King section. They're actually branching out and having more horror, and I hope this continues after Halloween because it's a good thing, especially if you're a horror fan. I used to hate going into Barnes & Noble because they had no horror section. Everything was just mixed in, and if you didn't know whether or not an author was horror or not, you pretty much were just having to make a wild guess as to whether the book was or wasn't. So you had to go on Goodreads, look it up. Oh, yes, it's a horror novel. Or you had to go on Amazon or the author's website or whatever. So anyway, I bought my first Darcy Coates, at least as far as a paperback or hardback is concerned. I do have one Darcy Coates on my Kindle, but this is The Haunting of Gillespie House. Some spirits linger. Elle is thrilled to spend a month minding the beautiful Gillespie property. Over an hour's drive from the nearest town, the aging mansion is ideal for someone seeking solitude. But as she explores her new home, Elle makes a startling discovery. There's a graveyard nestled deep in the woods, containing a generation of the house's residents, all who died the same year. Then things start to go very wrong very quickly. There's skittering noises inside the walls, slamming doors, whispers in the night, a locked room, and a horrifying mystery that wants to be solved. As she investigates further, Elle begins to unravel the property's dark and dangerous history. At its center is Jonathan Gillespie, a tyrannical cult leader and the house's original owner. And as Elle soon learns, just because he's dead doesn't mean he's gone. And this also includes 3 bonus stories. So the story itself is actually only about... let me see. It is only about 129, 130 pages. And then there are 3 shorter stories, which are, let me see here, Bed and Breakfast, Crawl Space, and Lights Out. All right. So next up, I got 2 books. First the original and then the sequel. I'm not going to read the synopsis for the sequel because I don't want to give away any spoilers. But the original is The Witch of Halloween House by Jeff DeGordick. And the sequel is The Witches of Halloween Haven, also, of course, by Jeff DeGordick. So, here we go. A town torn apart by fear. Let me get back on camera. There's an old house up on a hill in the woods that the kids call Halloween House. They accused the mysterious old woman who lived there of being a witch until the rumors got out of hand, and the panicked townspeople burned the house down with her in it one Halloween. She only said one thing before she died: "A curse on all of you." Now, 3 years later, the spooky holiday approaches again, and Carmen is left in charge of taking her little brother trick-or-treating. But strange things begin happening around the small town. Children are going missing one by one, and the only clue to their disappearance is a gingerbread man left on their windowsill. Now Carmen has to protect her brother so that he doesn't become the next victim as the townspeople descend into insanity all around them. Riddled with fear, they have no one to pin the kidnappings and strange occurrences on, because the witch is already dead, isn't she? Anyway, that's the Witch of Halloween House. Again, the sequel to it is The Witches of Halloween Haven. Okay, next up, I got this one from Amazon, and this is Sour by Tony Evans. I have heard both good things and bad things about this. I know it has to do with witches, and I am very interested in reading a lot of witch fiction, especially when it is the evil witches that put curses on you, put boils on your skin, turn your tongue inside out, all that jazz, okay? Some evil rose from within, an ancient being, one older than time itself. There's three kinds of witches around here that you got to watch out for. There's good ones, evil ones, and ones that just sort of are. Deep in the mountains of Appalachia, a legend is told about something evil that lurks within the dense woods of Gunrack Holler. A witch is said to live there, one whose appetite for innocent souls dates back hundreds of years. Sam Fletcher had heard the story his whole life, but he never really believed it. After all, as his father always said, it's just an old folk tale, only a story. But 2 years ago, something happened that made Sam question his belief in those old folk tales when he accidentally crossed over into Gunrack Holler and found a small black book with a strange symbol on its cover. The promise to end all of his worries. The price, one that Sam would realize far too late. The loss of his only son, Danny's soul. Now, with the help of his best friend, Sam is determined to get his son back, but to have a chance at reuniting Danny's soul with his body, he is forced to call on an even darker presence. One said to have the ability to resurrect the dead and fix things that aren't fixable. Locals call her the Bone Lady, and they say her power is stronger than Satan's. But dark curses aren't easily fixed, and Danny's body may have already soured. And once they sour, they just don't come back the same. So that sounds like a little bit of a Pet Sematary premise, because you remember they talk about the ground being sour and how when you bury something it doesn't come back the same way. So yeah, that sounds like that kind of premise or a little take on that. And then of course you're kind of some backwoods witch horror. So yeah, it sounds pretty good to me. We shall see. That's Sour by Tony Evans. Okay, next up, I got this one in the mail yesterday. This is the 5th book in the Splatter Western series. This is by C. Derek Miller, and this is Starving Zoe. And man, those covers just keep on being fantastic. I mean, every single cover for this, the Magpie Coffin, Hunger on the Chisholm Trail, Dust, the Night Silver River Run Red, and this one, the covers have just been awesome, okay? To most, 1865 was an eye-opening year. The American Civil War was officially over, and the soldiers fortunate enough to survive the bloody conflict returned home to collect the pieces of their former lives. To young Arizonan Robert Jack, the fateful desert homecoming marked the end of all he once knew. Forgiveness is overrated. Death is final. Revenge, however, dances between the fine lines of mortality and eternity. Love always finds a way. And that is Starving Zoe. All right. Sounds good. Sounds real good. Okay. I don't know if I've already included this one. I don't think I have. But the author, I told him I was interested. And he said, well, you can probably buy one of the advanced copies on my website. And I go on his website, and I'm like, okay, I can't really, I don't know if I can afford this right now. So, at the time, but later on he writes me on Instagram. He says, hey, I've got advanced copies, some more advanced copies. Would you like one of them? I'm like, yes, I would. And it didn't cost me anything, so I appreciate that. And I'm talking about Monster Volume 1 by Duncan Swan. All right. I love that cover. It's just so simple and just so effective, though. I just really love that. There is no stopping it. The cloud is Armageddon, steamrolling the world at a walking pace. Day 0. From the wreckage of a research facility in Switzerland, a plume of toxic smoke and ash pours into the sky, forming an impenetrable cloud that is slowly smothering the world in darkness. As Europe disappears beneath the cloud, a squad of United States Marines are sent on a desperate mission to find out what went wrong and how to undo it before it's too late. Venturing into a cold, dark world, the Marines must travel deep under the cloud with no comms, no backup, and no idea of what they will face. Day 89. Half a world away, the cloud has reached the east coast of the U.S. With nowhere to run and no hope of survival, the American people have descended into madness, turning on themselves and each other. From the sidelines, an old Tennessee sheriff watches as his country unravels, but he can't bring himself to take the easy way out. Quitting isn't in his DNA. So when one of his deputies asks him to help protect her family, he leads them west, chasing a miracle, a rumor of an old nuclear bunker that just may be their only hope for survival. Because if the cloud doesn't kill them, what's hiding in the dark will. In this thrilling debut novel, Monster, author Duncan Swan crafts a relentless, terrifying, genre-bending tale of courage, desperation, and redemption that shows just how fragile our civilization is and how far we will go to survive. And that is Monster, Duncan Swan. Okay, next up, I got this book in the mail the other day, and I looked at the address, and it had my address, but it had this fellow by the name of Evan Whitmer in the thing, and I'm like, well, I'm not Evan Whitmer, so what's going on? My wife's like, well, did you order it and not realize it? I said, I don't remember. And then I started thinking, I said, wait a minute. I thought maybe it's a book that I had that somebody wanted to send me, so I went on to Instagram. And I had this message from this Instagram user, Odd Fiction. So I looked, and yep, that's who it was. The fellow, he goes by Odd Fiction on Instagram. His name is Evan Whitmer. Why they sent me the book under his name, I have no idea. But yes, it is from him. And this is described as horror and comedy. Okay? And this is Pages from the Pizza Crows, which is a very interesting title. Here we go. In exchange for pizza, a beautiful crow delivered stories to my windowsill. I've collected those stories here for your amusement and observation. Bedfellows follows the story of a boy and a girl who are attached at the hip by supernatural means. Polygamy tells the tale of a powerful curse forcing married men to fight one another in order to protect their brides. Captured by Animals details an author's adventure spying on people in the woods to write his romance stories. The Red Constellation is Law & Order SVU meets cosmic horror. Young Adult Series Simulator tells the story of that date you went on at that bookstore. F1 is about a pregnant horse. 9/10 and 8 is The Monkey's Paw, but in reverse. Leith, and that's Lethe, asks, how old were you when you had your first memory? Maybe a little too old? The Bright Idea Room reminds you that it's the environment that kills you in the end, not the serial killer. Satan's Spies is about a friendly group of businessmen and their obsession with strip clubs. I haven't read any of them myself, so I can't really say whether they're any good. But flip back over to that sweet front cover and let that do all the talking. So yeah, this is Pages from the Pizza Crows. And he sent me this, and hopefully I'll be able to get this reviewed. And I've gotten now to where I tell the author, if you send me a book and I don't, if it's not for me for some reason or another, I will send them an email or a message and say, hey, I didn't finish this book. I'm sorry, but it's just not for me. That way, I'm not putting a bad review up and messing up their algorithm or whatever. And also, if I'm not going to finish a book, I do not think that I should review it. Okay, that's just me. All right. If that's something you do, that's okay with me. I got no problem with that because that's what you do. Okay. Anyway, finally, I got this in the mail today, and this is where I'm pissed off. Okay. So I ordered this from Amazon. And, of course, you can check your orders, and it'll tell you when they're on their way, when they're being shipped, when they were delivered, and all that. So I go to my orders, and I knew it was supposed to come today, and the mail had already run. And I look, and it says, delivered today. And I'm like, well, where is it? What they had done, what the mailman had done, instead of bringing it to my front door and just putting it on my porch, I've got a fenced-in yard. It's a black wrought iron fence. Looks nice and spooky, all right? And he just dropped the box just in the corner of the yard. Not on my front steps, not even close. I mean, I could understand it if he, came to where the gate is and dropped it over into the yard right there. I can understand that. But I look out there, I'm like, well, where is it? And I look over in the corner, and there it is. I'm like, you've got to be effing kidding me. Who does that? Anyway, that being said, my rant is over with. That being said, the book that I got, and I am so happy that I got this because the only way I've ever been able to find this is in paperback. But I really am glad they came out with a master edition, and that is From Hell. It used to be this entire book, which is of course about Jack the Ripper, and is by Alan Moore. It is a graphic novel. It is now in full color, and it's pretty nice, pretty neat. So there you go. Some really cool stuff. I saw the movie From Hell with Johnny Depp. It was okay. I liked it, but there was so much that was not included in the movie that is in the book. This book is it's a graphic novel, but it's a pretty good size, about a 500, almost 600 page graphic novel. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Let me see here. And there's some blurbs on the back. I'm going to read the blurbs, Not all of them, all right? One of the most ambitious, formally innovative, and densely researched works of historical fiction of recent years. At once, a meditation on evil, a police procedural, and a commentary on Victorian England. An impressive piece of work. A great work of literature. And that's exactly what it is. All right? And there was another channel, Chapter Kate, and she did this thing where she talked about should graphic novels or comic books be counted as reading? And I'm like, of course they should. It's ridiculous, especially when you have books like, what is on my arm? Anyway, especially when you have books like From Hell, Sin City, The Watchmen, books like that, that just have such a high literary sense to them. I mean, From Hell and Watchmen could both easily be novels. That's just it. And I'm not just talking about graphic novels. I'm talking about novels in general. So yes, they should be included as reading. If you're looking at words on a page and you're understanding and comprehending those words and they are telling a story, guess what? To me, that is reading. All right? So yes, reading. Anyway, that is it. That is my book haul, book mail, whatever you want to call it for today or this week or whatever. I thank you guys for watching and have a good night. Bye-bye.